And Washington batting 361 on the season. Should be a good test. Ready to get this one started. Feldman delivers. And strike one.
My thing with Mary Beth Feldman in this game is she's given up 17 extra base hits in just 30 and a third innings, in 2/3, innings of work. So I think she needs to try and limit those extra base hits today and not get in those dreadful situations with a bunch of runners in scoring position.
Yeah, this is just the 7th start of the season for Mary Beth Feldman. And it's a really big spot to put her into. And personally, I don't know exactly what Coach A's thinking was behind this one. But if it was me, I like the thought process of, hey, we brought this girl in to compete, and let's throw her out there against the best and see what she's got. Feldman delivers ball 2 off the inside corner. Counts now 2-1 for Washington.
Yeah, you mentioned it, a huge spot for the sophomore here out of Lithia, Florida, Newsom High School. The blood has to be pumping a little extra hard today in the circle.
Just a little bit, yeah, I would agree. But it's a good learning experience, too, because you do have that little extra kick of adrenaline as we look at strike 2 to Washington. How do you harness that adrenaline? Do you let it get carried away, or do you take it in and help your performance and improve what you're doing out there on the field? And that's really kind of the mark of some of the best competitors and people who might struggle at times.
And she looks composed. She looks good early. She's located a couple pitches on the outside corner. She's missed a few, missed high and outside there, but deep rest between each pitch. She looks composed. She looks ready to go.
Now Washington swung at the first pitch from Feldman and has watched the last 4 go by. Counts now full 3-2. First batter of the ball game. And that's ball 4. Kinsley Washington draws the walk. So a leadoff walk from Mary Beth Feldman. Washington on the base paths. And we talked about a little bit on Wednesday afternoon, but it was probably worth rehashing. UCLA is 4th in the conference in stolen bases, just behind the Utes. They've coming into today's matchup. They've got 50 stolen bases as a team. Kinsley Washington is 12 for 12 in stolen base attempts. So always a threat on the base paths. If we've got a bunt attempt going foul here.
It's a different animal, though, against Katie Falk in Utah defensively. She has an absolute howitzer of an arm. And I'm excited to see how she tries to mitigate one of the best run games in the Pac-12.
I'm excited to see how many words you can use for the arm of Katie Falk today.
I thought that was a good one.
No, I really liked howitzer. I appreciated that one. There's another foul ball bunted. So 0-2 is the count for Brianna Perez. Perez comes into today left-hander batting .371. Slashing .371, .436, .784, and she's batting .364 with runners on base.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but .784 slugging percentage is pretty darn good.
That's good, yeah.
That'll get the job done. In the 2-hole, that'll get the job done.
Yeah, that's a luxury that not a lot of teams across the country enjoy. And Washington takes off. She slides in safely. That throw from Falk gets away out into center field. Washington's going to advance to third base on the play. So UCLA just that quickly has a runner 60 feet away in scoring position. Counts now 1-2 to Perez.
Interesting from Katie Falk. She went with the throw from the knees there, and it sailed high and wide and into center field, allowing Washington to advance an extra base there. Now 13 of 13 on stolen base attempts for Washington. And that probably goes as an E2 to advance the runner to third base.
I would imagine that's going to be E2, first error of the ball game. And, yeah, you mentioned Falk throwing from her knees. I wonder if she got rushed a little bit thinking about the speed of Washington.
She's implemented that tactic a lot against people she knows she can throw out. It'll be interesting to see if she deviates from that at all, from going down to the knee to try and throw out these UCLA runners.
Utah defense across the infield, all playing in. Hallie Morris at third base, Haley Denning at short, Julia Noskin at second, and Alyssa Bonstrom at first base. All still acutely aware of the bunt attempt. Counts now full 3-2 for Brianna Perez.
If I'm Mary Beth Feldman, I'd be a little bit more aggressive here. She's pinching a little too much on the outside corners. She was ahead 0-2 in the count, has now fallen behind 3-2. This is a big pitch.
Swing, and that's ball out into the gap. That's going to score a run. Perez rounding first. She's going into second, and she's looking for a triple here. So after a leadoff walk, Kinsley Washington scores on a triple from Brianna Perez. UCLA on the board with an early 1-0 lead.
And just like that, she does come with one across the plate, and it gets sent out to the warning track on a line. That's 784 slugging percentage coming into play there. That's the fourth triple on the season for Perez and her 29th RBI. So a ton of production there out of the 2-hole, and just really impressive stuff to start here for UCLA. That ball was crushed.
Right before that pitch, Scott, you were talking about Feldman, and it looked like she's kind of nibbling on the corners and not being quite as aggressive as we would like, and obviously not knowing what the game plan is. I would tend to agree with you. You know, we've seen 2 3-2 counts. There's a ball sent out into the left center field gap. That's going to be a home run, a 2-run home run on the first pitch that Aaliyah Jordan sees today. And UCLA has a 3-0 lead over the University of Utah Utes.
The 5th home run of the season for Jordan, and her 25th and 6th RBI. She brings herself in as well. 22 runs scored for her, and this is the worst start possible for Utah, with UCLA jumping out to an early 3-0 lead, and just everything that has come to pass, as we've mentioned. They can hit, and this was one of the things that I said. The pitching needs to keep them within striking distance in this game for Utah offensively, and so far it's been a big inning for UCLA.
And now, after 3 runs on the board, got Rachel Garcia coming to the plate. Garcia has a .408 batting average this year. Also has 6 home runs, 14 runs batted in. We talked about 2-time National Player of the Year, and she's in the running to get her 3rd National Player of the Year award this season. So it's not getting any easier for Mary Beth Feldman right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. It's a lineup that is loaded from top to bottom.
There's ball 2 off of the inside corner. And if you're Feldman right now, you can't allow yourself to get rattled. And we see already from the Utah dugout, assistant coach, pitching coach Cody Thompson coming out to talk with Feldman. And I'm sure this is just a case of they see the nerves right now, and you got to get her have all scored in this inning. So if anybody's listening to the ball game here in the ballpark, there we go, up on the board. So 3 runs on 2 hits for UCLA.
They were listening to us. How about that?
Rachel Garcia in the right-handed batter's box, ahead in the count, 2-0. There's a good pitch from Feldman, right on the outside corner, strike 1.
Yeah, it took something off it, too. That looked like a breaking pitch on the outside corner, located really well right after the mound visit from Cody Thompson. That's exactly what you like to see after something like that, where you just go calm her down, and then she locates a perfect pitch.
And strike 2, same place. 2 good pitches from Mary Beth Feldman as she locks back in after giving up 3 early runs.
Yeah, it came with the heater that time, and that one was exactly as you mentioned, right on that outside corner. Really tough to do a whole lot with those 2 pitches back to back.
The drive out into center field. Alyssa Barrera goes back on it, hits the top of the wall. That's going to stay in. Barrera tracks it down, and Garcia is going to be held to a single on that one. That ball was just roped out into center field right off the top of the wall. Fortunately for the Utes, it stays in the ballpark. So 3 base hits now for UCLA.
How many times have you seen a single go 230? Probably it would have gone further than 235 feet if there wasn't a wall right there. Hit off the top of the wall and then result in a single.
Yeah.
Just a testament to how hard that ball was hit off the bat of Garcia.
Does not happen very often. And Barrera had a good read on that ball. She went back on it immediately. She had a chance to get to it, but it was just hit so hard and right on a line. I don't know that that ball got higher than 20 feet.
If it was hit any higher, it was 1,000% out of the ballpark.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Now coming to the plate for UCLA, their first baseman, Delaney Wise. Wise slashing .318, .394, .670 this season, .340 with runners on base. Looks at strike 1.
Wise also has 8 home runs on the season and 26 RBIs, so the power continues here in this UCLA lineup.
Strike 2. So Feldman ahead 0-2 with Wise. Garcia on first base does not have a stolen base attempt this year.
Yeah, and that's been Feldman's best pitch of the game so far, the fastball on the outside corner. She's been able to locate that a couple different times, but it's when she's come inside and over the middle of the plate that she's been hurt.
Yeah. Ball 1 in the dirt. Good stop from Katie Falk.
Garcia on first base has not attempted a stolen base so far this season for UCLA.
Defensively for the Utes, we see Hallie Morris playing back in a traditional third base spot. Alyssa Bonstrom right even with the bag at first. And that pitch just barely off the outside corner. Feldman's gotten that call a couple times early today, but can't get that one. Counts now 2-2. Nobody out here in the top of the first. Another pitch in the dirt, counts full. Third full count here in the first inning.
Yeah, thrown a lot of pitches so far this inning and still nobody out. It's going to be tough for her to go deep in this ball game if this continues to be the trend of full counts and a lot of loud contact.
And this is something that UCLA is good at. They see a lot of pitches. They've got great contact skills. A sharp ground ball to third base. Hallie Morey up with it. Over to second base, turning 2. There's 2 outs in the inning. Garcia and Wise both retired on that double play. Great play from Hallie Morris at third base. 6-4-3 double play. And now Maya Brady coming to the plate.
Not to correct you, Brian, but that'll go as 5-4-3, the third baseman.
That's
why there's 2 of us. That's why there's 2 of us.
That's why we need it both.
But yeah, that ball was hit so hard off the bat of Brady that it was almost a routine turn for Utah. Utah is very good at turning double plays this season, and they get a much-needed one there.
Utah currently leads the Pac-12 in double plays turned. And shout out to head coach Amy Hogue. That is her license plate on the vehicle, is turn 2. So definitely something the Utes focus on in practice, and you can tell the way they were able to turn that.
I'm sorry, that was Delaney off the bat of Delaney Wise, not Brady.
Maya Brady at the plate now. 1-1 is the count. 2 outs in the top of the first. UCLA leads 3-0. Brady is a redshirt freshman for the Bruins. That pitch is high from Feldman.
I know we're dreaming here, but how cool would it be to see Tom Brady come to the stadium and watch his niece play softball?
You know what? It might be dreaming on that one, but what if he's just listening?
Yeah. Hello, Tom Brady, if you're
How's
listening.
it going, Tom?
I never thought I'd really say that on a Utah softball broadcast.
There's a ball laced back up the middle into center field. Alyssa Barrera struggles coming up with it, allows Brady to advance to second base. I would imagine that's going to be an error on Alyssa Barrera, allowing Brady to get an extra base there. So a fielding error on Barrera, and it looks like that throw that got away from Katie Falk into center field was not ruled an error earlier in the inning. So that's the first error of the ball game for the Utes. 4th base hit for UCLA this afternoon. So Bruins with a runner in scoring position at the plate now. Alyssa Garcia. Garcia, a lefty. Pitch is outside.
It sounds almost crazy to say for me, but I think if you get out of this inning giving up only 3, it might be considered a win with how loud some of this contact has been. There's been a home run, a triple, 2 singles, and a walk, and you only give up 3 runs. I think you'd be almost okay with that.
Well, that double play ball to Morris was hit very hard as well.
Exactly.
Another ball high. Counts 2-0. Brady at second base has 5 stolen bases on the season. Caught stealing once. Ground ball to first base. Bonstrom picks it up, steps on the bag, and the Utes are out of it Mary Beth Feldman gives up 3 runs on 4. Really impressive numbers there from Far Emo. Lineup for the Utes. Leading off, playing shortstop, number 3, Haley Denning, batting second. Number 16, super senior Alyssa Barrera, batting third. Number 2, Alyssa Bonstrom, leading the team in home runs with 14. Maddie Jacobus, number 72, batting cleanup today. In the 5-hole, Julia Noskin, number 10, and playing second base as Denning swings at that first pitch, lines it to Malaulo at third base. That's going to be caught for the first out of the inning. 1 pitch, 1 out. Continue with the Utah lineup here. Destiny Keelis in the 6th spot, number 21. In the 7-hole, number 22, Hallie Morris, batting 8th, is going to be the catcher, number 15, Katie Falk, and left fielder, number 11, Jordan Gasper, batting 9th for the Utes. Now, Alyssa Barrera at the plate. Barrera easily has the most experience for this Utah team, and that's something they need to rely on today. Barrera tries to check her swing, unable to. Strike 1. I don't think it mattered if she checked it or not. That looked like a strike.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. It was on the outside corner and located beautifully from Fariomo. Yeah.
Barrera squares around and pulls the bat back. Takes ball 1. Counts 1-1 in the bottom of the first. Utah trails 3-0.
That one was weighing on the fists of Barrera there. Was able to just kind of squirt it out into foul territory down the right field line.
Counts 1-2 for Barrera now. Barrera comes into today's action with 233 hits in her Utah career, just 12 out of the top 5 career hits for the Utes, and she looks at strike 3. So 2 quick outs here in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, I think that was actually a check swing strike out there. That one well off the plate away here to Barrera, and she was unable to hold up her swing. That ball has a lot of velocity on it coming in here, and it's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the gun is showing from Far Emo here. Alyssa Bonstrom now in the box, takes strike 1.
That also broke a ton there, the breaking ball coming in very high and dropping off the table for strike 1.
Utah once again, same lineup they employed on Wednesday afternoon in the first ball game. Bonstrom looks at ball 1, that pitch is high. So they got 5 lefties in a row to start the order, and then go to 3 righties and another lefty. 6 lefties in the lineup.
And I would argue this is Utah's best offensive lineup, 100%.
I would agree. We talked a little bit about that on Wednesday. The depth as a soft pop-up from Bonstrom out to second base. Washington makes the catch. Bottom in the top of the second inning is Tessa Malaulu. Malaulu, a left-handed third baseman. Looks at strike 1. Malaulu showed some quick reflexes in the bottom of the first on a liner from Haley Denning to lead off the ball game, making the catch.
It was a really nice play. Denning takes that slap approach, and it's a hot corner down there at third base with Dennings at the plate.
Malaulu jammed on that pitch out to center field. Alyssa Barrera makes the catch. The way she got jammed on that ball, is able to get her hands in on it. It shows some good power just to hit it about 20 feet short of the track.
Yeah, came in on her big time there, and she was able to carry that one well out into the outfield. No home runs for Malaulu on the season, but the power is definitely there. We saw it there on a pitch that she got jammed on.
Now Kelly Godin, a left fielder for UCLA at the plate. Another left-hander. We've talked about all the left-handers in Utah's lineup. UCLA has 7 in their own. Godin takes strike 1.
Do you think there's more of an advantage lefty-righty matchup in softball rather than baseball?
That's a really interesting question. I haven't put a whole lot of thought into.
I mean, you would assume the spin is it breaks the same way, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it would be interesting for me to do some research on that.
Well, I think part of the reason why there's a lefty-righty splits in baseball is because a righty facing a righty, you don't see the ball until a certain point in the delivery, and I wonder if that applies in softball as well?
Right.
That would be an interesting question to ask Coach Hogue.
There you go.
I'll get the stats team on that one. The chopper over to Morris at third base. And Godin beats that throw out. Great speed from Kelly Godin. Wow.
Yeah, really good speed. I'm not sure I agree. I got to say what I feel on here. I'm not sure I agree with the call by Brett Higgins down there at first base. I thought she was out by half a step, but nevertheless, tremendous speed, and the ball was hit very softly, and Hallie Morris did everything she could down at third base.
Well, no argument from the Utah dugout on that play. So Godin with an infield single, beating out that slow roller to Hallie Morris at third base. Got one out in the top of the second, back to the top of the UCLA order, and Kinsley Washington. Washington drew a walk in her first plate appearance today. And Godin takes off, sliding safely into second base without a throw. That's Godin's 12th stolen base this season. So UCLA already showing their speed on the base paths.
Yeah, it looked to be Haley Denning was a bit late getting over to second base that time on the coverage, resulting in the non-throw from Katie Falk, not trying to throw another one in center field.
Counts 0-1 for Kinsley Washington. Washington, after drawing that walk to lead off the ball game, came around to score on the Brianna Perez triple. Foul ball off the bat of Washington.
Not that surprised to see Denning late to get over for the steal with how far she shaded towards the third base hole with this kind of more of a slap approach here from Washington to lead off for UCLA. She now moves a little bit back up the middle here.
Yeah, you can tell by the way Utah's positioned defensively. They are playing Washington. Anything on the ground, they expect it to go to the left side. Playing basically straight up in the outfield.
It's also interesting because Noskin at second base is pretty much in her normal positioning, so there is a very big hole up the middle that she could expose with the bat.
So counts 1-2 now on Washington. Runner in scoring position, represented by Kelly Godin. Correct myself one more time. That's Kelly Gooden. Like Dwight Gooden. That'll be easy to remember.
Doc. Pulling out a Mets reference on me.
You're a Mets fan. You know it.
I love it. You're just trying to butter me up, huh?
Yeah, I am. By the way, the Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, 30 for 30. Great programming on ESPN. Washington lifts the ball out into center field. That's deep. Barrera underneath it. Makes the catch. Gooden tags up. Throw from Barrera is late, so Gooden safely into third base, 60 feet away. 2 outs here in the top of the second inning. Coming to the plate, Brianna Perez. Perez tripled in her first plate appearance.
Yeah, this is almost identical situation to when she hit that triple back in the first inning. Rather, there's 2 outs in the inning in comparison to none.
Let's see if Feldman can make some adjustments. Keep the ball down off the bat of Perez. Perez takes ball 1.
That's a huge run out there at third base for both teams. I think if you're Utah, you need to have the mentality that you need the next run after giving up 3 in the first and going 1, 2, 3 in the bottom half of the first. I think giving up another run would be that much more momentum towards UCLA.
Perez takes ball 2. Squared around on that one, pulled the bat back as the pitch was outside. UCLA with 3 runs on 6 early hits. There's a good pitch from Feldman. Strike 1. I got to tell you, Scott, we were talking about the look of the uniforms for this Bruin team earlier today, and one thing I've noticed with these players in the batter's box, they're rocking the stirrups as well. It's a white-on-white stirrup situation, but consider me old-fashioned. I like a baseball stirrup.
The stirrups are a very good look.
And strike 2. Counts now 2-2.
How cool would it be either yellow stirrup or a light blue stirrup, though,
Oh.
instead of white on white?
What about a white stirrup with yellow underneath?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I think one of the colors with the stirrup would be fantastic.
UCLA needs to call us for some fashion tips. We can help out. Ground ball to Noskin at second base. Noskin fields over to Bonstrom. That'll retire Perez. Gets Utah out of the inning. And UCLA with no runs on 2 hits, no errors. We move to the home half of the second inning. Leading off for Utah, batting cleanup today, number 72, Maddie Jacobus. And Jacobus, Scott, we were talking about a little earlier in the week how Jacobus missed about a month of time this year after taking a ground ball off of the face in the Stanford series. And having Jacobus back in this lineup really changes the look of the entire Utah lineup, adds a lot of depth with the power and contact skills from Maddie Jacobus.
Yeah, absolutely. You can plug her into the 4-hole, move Noskin down to 5. Hallie Morris is in the 7-hole now, moving Katie Falk all the way to the 8-hole. So, yeah, it adds just an extra piece to this Utah lineup offensively, and they're better for it.
Jacobus with a pop-up to second base. Washington makes the catch.
Not a lot of hard contact for Utah off the bat.
Not so far.
Ferramo's looked really good.
I see why Ferramo has a perfect game earlier this season.
She was also named the Softball America Pitcher of the Year and the Softball America First Team All-American for the Bruins after going with a .85 ERA last season, 13-1 in 2020.
So you're telling me an ERA under 1 is a good thing?
Ask Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, but you got to get run support for it to matter.
Yeah, he's 2-2 and has a .7 ERA.
I'm sorry, too soon.
Yeah, I'm bitter.
Julia Noskin at the plate for Utah. Left-handed second baseman, batting .295 this season. One of 3 upperclassmen in the lineup today for the Utes. Noskin with a little slapper to third base. And quickly retired over at first, so 2 outs here in the second inning.
What a throw by Brianna Perez to get the speedy Noskin down the
Yeah.
line. Oh, my word. In the deep hole.
I
Got her
was
by a few steps.
taken aback by that arm. And Noskin is the second leading base stealer for this Utah team, and she didn't have a chance.
No chance. To answer your question, .85 was first among Pac-12 pitchers in the ERA last year. I'd say that's pretty good.
We'll take it. Destiny Keelis, a right-hander now at the plate for the Utes. Keelis batting .196 on the season. Keelis has 3 home runs this year. All 3 of those home runs have come in the last week. She hit 1 on Wednesday against BYU, 1 on Friday against Arizona in Tucson, and the 3rd came on Saturday afternoon last week against Arizona.
Also, some other accolades for Ferramo, 2018 Gatorade National Softball Player of the Year in high school.
Wow. Keelis ahead of that pitch, fouls it out of play.
.23 ERA in high school with a .316 average. That's incomprehensibly good.
So she just never got hit.
And she hit well, .316 at the plate. Crazy.
And that's kind of what we're talking about when we were talking about how good Stanford and Arizona State and those teams looked when they came in here. But this UCLA squad is just, they're on an entirely different level from those teams. The Pac-12 is great, and then there's UCLA.
Yeah.
The swinging strike 2 from Destiny Keelis.
1,029 strikeouts in her career in high school. California is a pretty good high school sports state as well.
Well, California in baseball and softball, they have that luxury in most places to be able to go year-round. As Keelis pops a ball into shallow left center field, catch is going to be made. That's 3 outs, 6 consecutive retired by Ferramo. We move to the top of the 3rd inning. Utah still trailing 3-0. Welcome back out here to Dumke Family Softball Stadium. Brian Priest joined by Scott Stevens. this Friday afternoon, first game of a 4-game set between your University of Utah Utes and the UCLA Bruins coming into town facing off with the Utes. Utah comes in 19-23 on the season, 2-13 in Pac-12 play, 5-6 at home. Bruins 28-3, 10-2 in the Pac-12, 5-1 on the road. Leading off here, swinging at the first pitch, Aaliyah Jordan lifts the ball out into left field. Catch is going to be made by Jordan Gasper. So 1 pitch, 1 out for Mary Beth Feldman. UCLA leads 3-0 right now. 3 quick runs in the top of the first inning. First 3 batters of the ball game came around to score. Feldman's really settled in nicely since then, though.
Exactly, yeah, that was the point I was just about to make. She worked around a single last inning, a stolen base, and a sac fly, moved the runner up to third base with 2 outs, was able to stay composed and get a big out and send Utah back to the dugouts, and now 1 pitch, 1 out here in the top of the third.
Alrighty, Rachel Garcia at the plate for the Bruins. Pops it up high to Hallie Morris at third base. Morris calls everybody off, makes the catch. 2 pitches, 2 outs here in the top of the third.
Yeah, this is momentum, right? She's challenging these UCLA hitters and getting some weaker contact than she saw in the first inning, and this is big for Utah. If she's able to settle down into this game, get the bats starting to get some momentum here. Ferramos looked very good on the other side for UCLA, but this is the opportunity I was saying, trying to keep this one manageable. 3 runs is manageable. 6, 7 runs is less manageable against a pitcher like Ferramo.
I'd love to see this from Feldman as there's strike 1 to Delaney Wise, but Feldman comes in, doesn't have an awful lot of experience. She's a freshman coming in. She's only making her 7th start of the season, 12th appearance this year. Coming in, she'd only thrown 30 2/3 innings. So this has been a great chance for head coach Amy Hogue to get an eye at Feldman and see what she can do against the best competition in the nation, not just some really good teams, the best competition in the nation. And Feldman, after those first 3 batters, has settled in and looked like she belongs here.
Yeah, absolutely. She's responded beautifully to all that adversity.
So counts 1-1. Wise, a right-hander, one of 2 righties for UCLA in the lineup today. Steps back into the box. Pops it foul and out of play, and that's exactly why you don't park on the curb strip outside Dumpke Family Softball Stadium.
That one was destined for it. I did pull in, though, an hour before a game, and there was less cars there than they were on Tuesday. But with that being said, we get here earlier than most folks, so maybe they filled in, unfortunately.
Well, pro tip for any UCLA fans coming out here, do not park on the curb.
Don't do it. It's not worth the windshield.
Counts now 3-2 for Wise. 2 outs here in the top of the third. Bruins leading 3-0.
Just been really impressed with the UCLA approach of bearing down in these at-bats. When they get down 2 strikes in the count, they're able to battle and work to these full count situations.
Now this is 4 full counts now in the ball game.
At least.
Looking out here, Scott, one of the things I love the most today is this is easily the biggest crowd we've had
100%.
at Dumpke Family Softball Stadium. We still have people coming in, looking for seats, and admission is free. That was something I was reading up on today. So if you've got some spare time this weekend, game today and then tomorrow is a doubleheader. First pitch in game 1 scheduled for 2 o'clock, and then Sunday at noon first pitch. So you set some time aside. Come out here and watch a couple really good softball teams as Wise draws the walk from Feldman. So after 2 quick outs, Wise does a good job of seeing a lot of pitches from Feldman before drawing the walk. And now Maya Brady coming up to the plate for her 2nd appearance of the day.
Yeah, that was a heck of an at-bat from Delaney Wise. Saw a lot of pitches, fouled off a couple really good ones from Feldman, and was able to work her way on base to give UCLA a 2-out base runner. But yeah, you mentioned it. This is an awesome crowd, and it's just really fun to see the energy back in the ballpark.
Maya Brady looks at strike 1.
And this is a team that you will see further down the line in the College Softball World Series. 1,000% they are that good, and it's just going to be a privilege to watch this team and see how Utah stacks up against them.
Oh, without a doubt. You know, I mean, being quite frank, it's been a privilege to spend much of the season up here in the booth
100%.
watching this Utah softball team. It's a really exciting group of girls. A lot of fun watching them play softball out here, and they're a fun group. You can tell how much they enjoy being around each other. I get here early each day and watch for a couple hours as Brady lifts a ball out into left field. Gasper underneath it makes the catch. And so I'll just end on that thought. But Feldman doing a good job after giving up 3 early runs in the ball game. Sets UCLA down here in the top of the third. We go to the bottom half of the third inning. Utah trailing 3-0. And leading off the inning here for the Utes is going to be Hallie Morris playing third base today. She's batting .286 this season. Morris, Katie Falk, and Jordan Gasper due up here in the bottom of the third. Megan Faramo in the circle for UCLA has not allowed a base runner through 2 innings.
Yeah, faced the minimum so far, and 7-8-9 coming up for Utah, looking to change the tide here in this one after some great innings from Mary Beth Feldman.
See some great camera work from the scorer's booth over there, looking out at the berm. If you got a chance, come on out here to the stadium. If you don't want to sit by people, that's okay. We have a lot of room on the grass. Bring a blanket. You can sit out on the berm. Concessions are open. And it's just a beautiful day to be outside.
It really is. It couldn't be much better. And tomorrow's going to be just as beautiful with 2 games that you get to tune into with free admission. I don't know how it gets any better than that.
Yep, tomorrow afternoon, first pitch scheduled for 2 o'clock. Hallie Morris leading off this third inning for Utah. Counts 1-1. She hits a ball down the third baseline. Is that going to stay in play? Good distance from Hallie Morris there. Just needs to straighten it out a little bit. That could have been a home run.
Yeah, absolutely the loudest contact off of a Utah bat so far. That did clear the wall down in foul territory there, down the 225 line. If that was in play, would have been getting Utah on the board.
And that's exactly what Utah needs. I mean, obviously, they need to put some runs on the board, but you need loud contact. You need to see something that lets you believe that you can do this. Morris takes ball 2.
I also think more of that, working the count, laying off of some tough pitches. When you're down 1-2, 0-2 in counts like that, it's so much harder to hit the pitcher's pitch rather than waiting for a pitch that you can handle. And so making Faramo come to them in these later innings is going to be huge.
Another foul ball off the bat of Morris, this time down the first baseline. And it looks like we have a pinch hitter in the on-deck circle. Pinch hitting for Katie Falk is expected to be Liv Militello. So A.J. Militello looking to take this at bat after Hallie Morris. Counts 2-2 for Morris. Bruins lead 3-0. Appeal down to first base. Morris did check her swing. So Morris has run the count full. Exactly like you were saying, Scott. Run the count and see some more pitches.
I wonder if there's something going on with Katie Falk, though. She didn't take a whole lot of the infield warm-up behind the plate either, and now a pinch-hitting appearance here in this one looks like it's coming.
Ball out into center field. Catch is going to be made by Maya Brady. So Morris is retired after running the count full. Now A.J. Militello at the plate for the Utes.
I'd chalk that up as one of Utah's best at-bats so far of the day for sure. Probably one of the most productive ones. A couple loud contact there for Hallie Morris, and that one going into the gap. Good play by Brady on the run.
Well, it's great from Morris there to be able to see some pitches and let the other players in the dugout see some of these pitches from Faramo. She's been pretty dominant so far today. And yep, it does look like Militello is going to be stepping into the box, pinch hitting for Katie Falk. And now Falk, my understanding is she would still be able to stay in the game defensively and catch for the Utes. But this will be Militello's only appearance unless she stays in the game defensively somewhere. Militello fights that one off. Foul.
Militello coming into this pinch hitting performance has a .368 average, a .429 on base percentage, and a .947 slugging percentage just in limited time of 7 hits and 19 at bats.
Does have a little bit of pop in that bat with 3 home runs. Another swinging strike from Militello, counts 0-2.
Interesting to note, 7 hits and 8 strikeouts. So that makes up 15 of the 19 at bats for Militello so far this season. Does have 10 RBIs and 2 walks.
Militello looks at ball 1.
The sign of a dominant pitcher is how often you see that board read 0-2, 1-2, and quickly. And that's exactly what we've seen from Faremo. She's been ahead with first pitch strikes, second pitch strikes quite often in this one.
Now Faremo misses with 2 straight pitches, and the catcher is going to head out, have a conversation with her. Looks like the whole infield's going to come in real briefly. So that's Alyssa Garcia having a conversation. Now they're ready. They're on the same page. I would imagine just discussing how they want to attack Militello right here. Counts 2-2, 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd. Another foul ball off the bat of Militello.
Well, Brian, she threw back-to-back balls. Something was wrong.
That's too talented for 2 consecutive balls.
Just joking. Just joking.
Sometimes it does feel that way, though.
It has early on so far in this one.
Militello swings through that pitch, gets away from the catcher, so Militello takes off. She's thrown out at first base now. So 2 outs here in the bottom of the 3rd. Still nobody has reached base for the Utes. Faremo facing the minimum. And Jordan Gasper, another lefty coming to the plate for Utah.
That was a nasty breaking pitch there to get the strikeout. That was maybe a foot off the plate and in the dirt. Still a swinging strike.
Swinging at the first pitch. Gasper, little pop down the first baseline. Catch is made by Wise. So 3 up, 3 down once again for the Utes. We go to the top of the 4th inning with Utah trailing.
This against one of the best teams in the conference, in the country.
Well, and we've talked about the stolen base ability of this UCLA team. So to have an arm like Katie Falk and take her out of the game this early, yeah, I think it would lend you to believe that there's probably more to the story than we're aware of right now. Alyssa Garcia at the plate, counts 1-1. Pitch outside from Feldman. Couple non-competitive pitches from Feldman here in this at-bat. Wind is picking up just a tiny bit. Slight breeze coming in from center field. The ball popped down the 3rd base line. That's going to be out of the reach of the Utah defense. Counts now 2-2.
Garcia grounded out to first base earlier in the game in the 1st inning, put an end to that big 1st inning for UCLA, and not a whole lot of offense on either side since that point.
No, it's been some good pitching from both teams after those first 3 batters. UCLA got 1 runner on bases, had a single in the 2nd inning. We got another ball popped out of play. But had a single from Kelly Gooden. Gooden was able to advance to 3rd base, but couldn't come around to score. And then after 1 walk in the 3rd inning, Delaney Wise drew a walk, but Mary Beth Feldman was able to pitch around that, inducing Aaliyah Jordan into a fly out to center field. Got Rachel Garcia, the ever-dangerous Garcia, to pop out to 3rd base. And then Maya Brady with another fly out to center field as well.
Yeah, and I think it just speaks to how well Feldman has kind of settled down in this game. 1st inning, Kinsley Washington walked and scored. Brianna Perez make that, tripled and brought an RBI, also scored on a 2-run homer by Jordan. Next time through the lineup, sac fly, 4-3.
Ground ball to Bonstrom at first base. Bonstrom backhands it, steps on the bag. Good defense there from Bonstrom.
Yeah, really good play there by Bonstrom, ranging to her right, able to stab that one and take it unassisted to first base. Really good play, and that's one of the things that we need to continue to see from Utah in this series is UCLA is going to put the ball in play. Utah's got to have to make the plays that they should make in games like this.
Well, and that's been one of the big differences between these 2 teams. UCLA has 10 errors as a team all season long. Utah has 54 of their own. And it's tough to consistently win ball games if the defense is letting you down like that.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat. I think it's even crazier with only 10 errors on the season.
Another ball from Feldman, counts 2-0. Tessa Malaulu at the plate. Malaulu flew out to center field in her last appearance. Ball to left. Jordan Gasper underneath it. Gasper positioned perfectly for that ball. Makes the catch. 2 up, 2 down here in the top of the 4th inning. UCLA leading 3-0.
31 games, Brian, UCLA's played, and they've only given up 10 errors.
Pretty impressive, huh? Very, very good defense behind these UCLA pitchers, and it makes sense that they would experience so much success as a pitching staff when you can have the utmost confidence in the defense behind you.
Absolutely, and I think it kind of, as we see a mound visit here from Keyless as the catcher, I think one of the things that stands out to me is elite teams, there's 3 facets of a softball game. They're elite at all 3 facets.
Yep.
Stanford was a great contact hitting team. They didn't necessarily have the power that we saw from Arizona State. They both had great pitching.
Yeah.
But I think there's some of those things that kind of not hold back teams, but are difference makers in what is elite and what is extremely good. And there is a difference between elite and extremely good. And I think that's what we're seeing here with this UCLA team in comparison to Stanford and Arizona State that we saw earlier on in the season.
Kelly Gooden at the plate. Gooden squares around. Takes ball 1. The Utah defense playing in, looking for a bunt from Gooden. Gooden has 12 stolen bases this season. We saw how effective her speed can be on a slow chopper to third base. In her first at-bat, she was able to beat it out, and I don't know that there's more than a handful of players in the country that would have been able to beat that ball out.
No way.
And we spend a lot of time talking about the speed of Haley Denning, and I don't know if she's beating that one.
She also had a stolen base last time she was on base as well. So
counts 2-1 for Gooden. And Scott, we've spent a lot of time talking about the star power in the lineup for UCLA, but it's not just in the lineup. This program is packed with stars all over the place. Lisa Fernandez, quite possibly the most well-known and best fast-pitch softball player in history, is on this coaching staff. She had a terrific career at UCLA, went on to play for Team USA, and several years playing professionally. And then former major leaguer Don Slott is a special assistant coach. Spent 16 years in the big leagues. Also spent 2 years as the Detroit Tigers hitting coach. And now he's a special assistant for this UCLA ball club. Counts 2-2 for Gooden. 2 outs in the top of the 4th. Slow roller from Gooden. She's going to reach first base safely. There was nothing Julia Noskin could do once she got to that ball. Just no chance to throw out Gooden. Unless she makes hard contact, she's going to be tough to retire.
Yeah, that's going to go as another infield single, as you mentioned. But some more notes on Don Slott in his time as a major leaguer. He played a couple seasons for the Padres, and the White Sox had 1,151 hits, 476 RBIs, and 450 runs scored, a 283 career batting average. That's pretty good in the big leagues.
I'm a little more seasoned than you are, Scott. I remember watching Don Slott play with the Pirates. As Gooden takes off, it's going to be her second stolen base of the ball game. Pitch in the dirt from Mary Beth Feldman, and Cody Thompson immediately up out of the dugout to talk to Feldman. Feldman and Keyless trying to get on the same page here in the 4th.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is going towards Keyless as well, with some of the stolen base coverages and things like that. And that's a couple times you haven't really even seen a play on a stolen base for UCLA. And that's Taking Katie Falk out of the game with whatever's going on is going to, I would sense that UCLA is going to be just that much more aggressive on the base pass, sensing an opportunity there.
Yeah, I would imagine that's going to have an impact on the running game without Katie Falk in the ball game. Now back to the top of the UCLA order, Kinsley Washington at the plate. Washington drew a walk and flew out to center field. So 0 for 1 this afternoon. Another pitch in the dirt. Gooden strays away from second base, not going anywhere. Keyless tracks that one down.
Were you a little surprised to see her not take off on that ball?
I was.
I was too.
As soon as that ball hit the dirt and bounced away at all, I expected her to be moving.
She's only been caught stealing once this season.
Chopper to second base. Noskin fields it over to Bonstrom. That'll retire the side. So an infield single from Kelly Gooden goes for naught, and we head to the bottom of the fourth inning. UCLA on top, 3-0. Back out here at Dumke Family Softball Stadium, University of Utah Utes taking on the UCLA Bruins. Bruins scored 3 quick runs in the top of the first inning, taking a 3-0 lead, and Mary Beth Feldman's done a great job shutting down this UCLA lineup since that time. We're here in the bottom of the fourth, top of the Utah order. Haley Denning leading off this fourth inning against Megan Faramo. Faramo delivers ball 1. Looked like a pretty good pitch from Faramo.
Yeah, almost just inside there, but Faramo has faced the minimum so far through 3. Not a lot of base runner. Lineup flips over for Utah here in the fourth. Top of the order, 2 up for the Utes. Let's see if they can get anything going here.
Love to see Denning get on base and use her speed to cause some havoc here. Strike 1 to Denning. Counts 1-1.
It's a busy day at the ballpark. We're picking everybody up here.
There's an awful lot of people here, and we got the open door behind us so we can breathe in the booth. And, yep, people go past. They want to be loud. You might hear them. Denning with a slapper up the middle. That's going to be the first base hit of the ball game for the Utes. And Denning with a leadoff single here in the bottom of the fourth.
Really good piece of hitting there by Denning, taking that one back up the middle. She's usually left side primarily if it's on the ground, trying to slap it through the third base shortstop hole. Turned on that one a little bit. It's crazy to say that because it went up the middle, but she did turn on that one a little bit for her approach, and it led to a base hit, and Utah has their first hit of the ball game, first base runner.
Not just her approach, but the velocity that Faramo is bringing to the plate right now.
Right.
That's you got to get the swing started a little bit earlier. And Barrera with a liner to Washington. Washington with a great catch at second base for the first out of the inning. That had a Gapper written all over it. Washington gets up in the air, makes the catch. Denning smartly doesn't stray too far from the bag, able to get back.
Yeah, I think that one was almost more along the lines of it was hit so hard she didn't have that much time to get off the base and was able to get back in time. But, yeah, a shot off the bat of Barrera and a really good play by Washington, leaping up in the air, saving extra bases from Barrera.
Yeah, I think you might have a pretty good point there. Alyssa Garcia fakes a snap throw down to first base. Denning gets back. Bonstrom at the plate now for the Utes. Home run leader for this Utah team with 14 on the season. She has 6 home runs in her last 11 games. So on quite the hot streak right now. Counts 1-1, 1 out. So a few numbers on Bonstrom here. In the last 11 games, she's hitting .379, 6 home runs, has 15 RBI, and 13 runs scored. Strike 2. Those 14 home runs for Alyssa Bonstrom are the most home runs by any Utah player since Kara Foster hit 18 in 2009.
Wow, that's an awesome stat. I'm interested to see this matchup here. Catcher versus base runner here. Haley Denning leading the Pac-12 in steals. Garcia is 5 of 9 and caught stealing behind the plate defensively.
A pretty good percentage there from Garcia. Pitch is high.
I'm not even going to attempt to guess what percentage that would be. If any of y'all unfortunately heard my performance in the doubleheader of the Idaho State game on Wednesday, it was not great. So we're steering clear, and we're doing better today.
Says she's caught 5 of 9?
5 of 9.
I'm going to say she's throwing out just under 60% of attempted base stealers.
There you go. That's why there's 2 of us.
Approximations are good. Alyssa Bonstrom draws the walk. So Utah with their first 2 base runners of the ball game here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Megan Ferramo showing signs of being mortal.
Crazy. Crazy. I'm not that surprised to see them be careful with Bonstrom in this lineup. That is the biggest bat that Utah has in there in the 3-hole. It doesn't get much easier. Jacobus and Noskin are good contact hitters here for Utah. But yeah, that's the one bat in the lineup that could put a couple runs on the board in a hurry.
Maddie Jacobus at the plate. Earlier this year, Jacobus had a 17-game hitting streak. Swings at the first pitch, pops it up to Washington at second base. So 2 outs now. Utah still has 2 runners on base. Denning at second. Bonstrom at first. And Julia Noskin coming to the plate now for the Utes. There's a first opportunity for the Utes with runners on base, and it would be big to see them convert right now. It's been an area where they have struggled this season. Noskin only batting 140 with runners on base, 146 with 2 outs. So this is a great opportunity for the Utes. A lot of speed at second base. Anything into the outfield, I would expect Denning to try and score on.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. You got to be aggressive in this situation if there's a ball into the outfield. But this has been the spot where Utah struggled early offensively in Pac-12 play. They got the runners on base. They were just not able to get those big hits with runners on base with 2 outs to convert those runs and stay in the ballgame. So this is a huge opportunity against the Pac-12's best.
This is where, being such a young team, you've got 8 freshmen, 7 sophomores in that dugout for Amy Hogue and her team, and the inexperience has shown itself in these types of situations. But Julia Noskin, one of 3 upperclassmen in the lineup for Utah today, a junior in her 4th season with the Utes, has an excellent opportunity to put Utah on the board. Looks at strike 1.
And that is just a nasty breaking pitch there. That breaks a ton to the plate.
Yeah, we see an awful lot of movement on these pitches from Ferramo.
Even her fastball has some life to it.
Oh, yeah.
Some cut action to it.
Slapper off the bat of Noskin to second base. And Washington with a good play to field it quickly, get it over to Wise at first, retiring Noskin. So Utah's first threat of the ball game gets snuffed out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. The starting pitcher for the Utes today still in the circle as we head to the 5th inning. I was looking at the numbers, and Feldman pitching into the 5th for just the 2nd time in her 6 starts this year. Her first 2 starts of the season, she went 5 2/3 innings in her first start, so pitched into the 6th, and then 4+ innings in her 2nd start of the year. A bunt here. Hallie Morris gets to it quickly. The throw from Morris pulls Noskin off of the bag, so Brianna Perez reaches safely on a bunt single. UCLA with their 8th hit of the ball game. But back to Mary Beth Feldman. I think you can make the argument this might be her best pitching performance of the season and a great confidence boost.
Yeah, that's just her 4th base runner allowed since that 1st inning, which was a big half inning for UCLA offensively. And I'll be interested. Yeah, that one goes up as another hit there for UCLA. I figured you might be able to say an error with the throw that pulls her off the base, but that's a tough error.
Yeah, Perez was probably going to beat that ball out either way. And Perez takes off on the first pitch, sliding feet first safely into second base. So that is, I believe, the 3rd stolen base for the Bruins today, testing the arm of Destiny Keelis behind the plate.
Yeah, we mentioned it with the exit of Katie Falk in this game, Utah's best catcher behind the plate defensively. I'm not at all surprised to see UCLA running almost any chance they can get to try and get an extra runner in scoring position.
Aaliyah Jordan at the plate. Jordan hit a 2-run home run in the top of the first inning before flying out to left field in the third. So this is her third at-bat of the ball game, 1 for 2 today. Counts 1-1 for Jordan.
Yeah, and that was really the big blow of the game. You figured UCLA was probably going to tack on a few more runs in that inning, but Feldman was able to manage it from to just 3, which I mentioned in the time being it could have been worse.
Yep.
In that half inning, and if you maybe take away that 2-run homer, it might not look even as bad as 3 runs. So I mean, you're talking about that was a huge play in this game as we now move towards the top of the 5th inning, and there's only been 3 runs scored in this one.
No, you definitely, looking back on it now, 4 innings later, that was a turning point in the top of the first inning. The 2-run home run from Aaliyah Jordan, 3 runners scoring in the first 3 at-bats of the ball game, and it would have been really easy for Mary Beth Feldman to melt down as we see Jordan pop out to third base on that play, first out here in the top of the 5th inning. But yeah, it would have been really easy for Feldman to melt down, but she stayed strong. She showed her mental toughness and has stayed in this ball game and really, really slowed down this UCLA lineup. They've left runners on base in every inning, but Feldman has prevented them from having that big outbreak.
Yeah, and I think that also speaks to it too. She's, as the first pitcher misses outside, she's left runners on base every single inning. She's not had one clean inning yet where there hasn't been a UCLA runner on base. So pitching out of all these aggressive situations with base runners running and things like that, it's a different ball game than pitching with nobody on base. And so I've been very impressed with the way she's been able to dial it in here in this start.
Line drive off the bat of Perez out to center field. That's got a chance. That's going to be a home run for Rachel Garcia. The second home run of the day. It's a 2-run home run. Bruins take a 5-0 lead.
Yeah, and I just mentioned the big blow off the bat of Aaliyah Jordan. That one is the biggest blow of the game so far, busting this one into a 5-run lead.
Feldman right now. Feldman, you can tell, frustrated at the moment. And now Cody Thompson's going to come out and have another talk with Feldman.
We will have a pinch runner on first base. That is number 21 for UCLA, Grace Guzman. But yeah, I can understand how frustrated Feldman must feel in this situation with how well you battled in this game so far, and you felt like you were able to work out of some of these tough situations, but this is a really good lineup. I mean, I think she deserves a ton of credit for what she's already been able to do in this game and limiting the UCLA damage. And I understand she's upset with herself, but I think she'll have a lot of positives to look back to in this start so far for the rest of her Utah career.
In the moment, you're definitely going to be frustrated about that, but that home run to Rachel Garcia is a 2-time reigning National Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So there's no shame in giving up a home run to Garcia. She's a great player, and yeah, obviously you would like to be able to have that pitch back, maybe locate it a little bit better, but it's just such a deep and dangerous UCLA lineup. We see Maya Brady at the plate right now. Brady batting .324 this season. She's got 3 doubles, 8 home runs of her own, 24 RBI, 16 runs scored. She was in the running for National Freshman of the Year last season before COVID cut the year short. Likely the Freshman of the Year this season. And just the depth of this UCLA lineup, you can only pitch around runners on base so often.
Right. Exactly right.
Counts 2-1 for Brady. 1 out here in the top of the 5th inning. 2 runs across. Another ball off the outside corner. Counts now 3-1 for Brady.
I also think you could put a testament to the approach changed a little bit for UCLA. You didn't see as many 3-ball counts, not as long of an at-bats as you saw in that first inning. That first inning, Feldman threw a ton of pitches, and UCLA started swinging out a first pitch a couple times. It got a couple pop-outs to left field and third base as this one's fouled back to the screen, 3-2. But I think the approach has slightly changed, and now they're starting to work back into that mindset of working the count. Let's get to our pitches here, and it's working once again here in the top half of the 5th.
To that point, in the first inning, UCLA had three ball, 2-strike counts, and this is only the second full count that they've had since the first inning. So you're 100% correct, and I think that might be the strategy going forward,
Right.
is continue to work the count, make Feldman throw more pitches. There's a ground ball to Bonstrom at first base. She looks over to second, decides not going to be able to get the lead runner, steps on the bag to retire Brady.
Yeah, and that was a tough play. You don't often talk about the setting sun having an effect on a ground ball. That ball hopped up on her, and she was looking dead into that
Yep.
setting sun to the west of us. And good job being able to handle that, and a smart play, not trying to force anything at second base, getting the sure out at first.
Yeah, the positioning of the field here at Dumke Family Softball Stadium is difficult. Bonstrom, Noskin at first and second, and Maddie Jacobus out in right field, all looking right into the sun as it's setting here in the Salt Lake Valley. A foul ball off the bat of Alyssa Garcia.
I have a feeling it's going to be a good sunset here in Salt Lake today.
I think it just might.
Yeah, it usually is. We're very fortunate in that aspect of things.
I don't have a lot of bad things to say about Salt Lake.
Skip is turning over in his booth over there to the left of us after what we talked about pregame.
We're joking. Don't come to Utah. Nobody likes it here. We're all trying to get out. Nothing in one count here for Garcia. 1 out in the top of the 5th. 2 outs in the top of the 5th. Scoreboard doesn't have that second out up quite yet. Pinch runner, as you mentioned, Scott, Grace Guzman, pinch running for Delaney Wise at second base right now.
1 steal on the season for Guzman. Has not been caught.
Pitch high, lined off the bat of Garcia. Bonstrom makes the catch, so Feldman works around that once again. A 2-run home run from Rachel Garcia puts UCLA up 5-0 as we head to the home half of the 5th. A scheduled thing, or if there might be an injury or some other type of a concern. Keyless now behind in the count, 0-2.
Keyless flew out to center field in her first plate appearance of the ball game.
Keyless pops a ball high down the first baseline into right field. Catch is made.
Good job by Aaliyah Jordan out there battling the sun, sunglasses on. It's got to be a tough sun right now. It looks like a lot of people shading their eyes. The sunglasses are on for most in the field, and this is it's one of the things you have when you have I guess it's a northeast facing field and you have a setting sun to the west of you. It's just one of those things you have to deal with.
Well, and you'd love to see Utah be able to take advantage of the tough conditions with the sun right now. Maybe put a couple balls into right field and force UCLA to play into that sun. Hallie Morris at the plate now.
I also think that plays into the approach of whenever you have such a good pitcher on the mound, your mind has to start going the other way.
Yep.
Especially when you're dealing with pitches that might be beating you rather than pitches you can handle.
Yeah, Morris, the righty, let that pitch travel just a little bit farther to get an idea of the spin and then go the other way with it.
And she's also locating beautifully on the outside corner here is Faremo.
Hallie Morris tied for third on this Utah team with 4 home runs this season. Morris, kind of a super utility player. We've seen her take time at, majority of her time probably at third base. She's spent some time at shortstop. We've seen her play first base and a fair amount of time in the circle pitching as well. As she waves through that ball, striking out, swinging. 2 outs now in the inning.
Yeah, we talked about it at length in that doubleheader against Idaho State is this super utility factor for Hallie Morris. She leads the team in ERA still in the circle, 66 and 2/3 innings as well with all of that time at third base and other places on the infield.
Now A.J. Militello steps into the box. Militello squares around, does not get a piece of that ball.
I think we had some music come on there accidentally from the press box mid-play there. Home plate umpire Mike Bartling was not too pleased with that.
Immediately rectified that situation.
We all make mistakes.
Well, I mean, at least we can't spin it like it was a gamesmanship thing with our own players at the plate.
At least it was AC/DC.
Yeah, that's true. Any complaint about AC/DC is almost sacrilege. Counts 2-1 now for Militello. 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. UCLA leading 5-0. 5 runs on 9 hits, no errors. Utah, no runs, 1 hit, 2 errors. Lone hit of the ball game for the Utes off the bat of leadoff hitter Haley Denning. Foul ball back to the screen. That netting's not there. I'm going after that one.
That might have hit us if the netting wasn't there.
I'm going to catch a foul ball one day. Might go to 1,000 games before it happens, but it's going to happen.
If you're sitting here in that chair, I'm not sure how many you're going to catch.
I might need to be farther down the baseline to catch one here.
You might need 4 or 5 degrees.
So 3 up, 3 down in the bottom of the 5th. Megan Faramo looking elite so far today. We head to the top of the 6th inning. UCLA maintaining. Welcome back, fans. Brian Priest joined by Scott Stevens out here at Dumpke Family Softball Stadium. And we've got a great matchup here between the University of Utah Utes. They were knocking on the door in the preseason of the national rankings, have kind of fallen on hard times now that they've reached the conference portion of the season. It's been really difficult in the Pac-12. Leading off right now for UCLA is Tessa Malaulu, and it looks like we've got another defensive change. Katie Falk back into the ball game behind the plate.
Interesting.
So Malaulu leading off. Katie Falk replaces Destiny Keelis behind the plate. And we'll see what that does to the Utah batting order as we go forward. Malaulu with that bunt foul. 0-1 is the count. Mary Beth Feldman still in the circle for Utah. There's a ground ball back to Feldman. Feldman knocks it down, not able to get Malaulu. So that'll go as, we'll see what the scoring is on that one. That's going to be an error on Feldman.
Wow.
So error goes up on the board quickly. It's a hard hit ball right back to Feldman in her glove. And she just wasn't able to field it cleanly. Didn't have time to get Malaulu with some speed. Looks like Hallie Morris is going to replace Feldman now in the circle. So Feldman with 5 innings pitched. She is accountable for the runner on first base, but this is officially the second longest performance of the season for Mary Beth Feldman. So I'm going to go ahead and say no matter what happens with Malaulu right here, there are a lot of positives that Feldman can take from this ball game.
Yeah, and she absolutely deserves the round of applause that she got as she came off the field here from this great crowd here in Salt Lake City today. But yeah, absolutely. So many positives you can take of working through the second, third, and fourth innings with runners on base each inning, stranding a couple runners throughout, and really just battling down. And especially after being ambushed like she was in the first part of this game with the first 3 batters of the game scoring. I mean, just to bounce back the way she did, I have nothing but positive things to say about the start so far today from Mary Beth Feldman.
Yeah, Feldman, really, really good job to settle down after the first 3 UCLA batters of the ball game scored. She held the Bruins scoreless second, third, and fourth innings before a Rachel Garcia 2-run home run in the 5th inning. Came out here to start the 5th. And after an error on a ball off the bat of Malaulu, and Malaulu reaches base, Feldman gets pulled. Hallie Morris coming in from third base, taking over in the circle for the Utes. Not a surprise, as Morris has been the primary relief pitcher for this Utah team defensively. Allie Bellardi takes over for Morris at third base. Scott, do you have the numbers for Morris in the circle?
Yeah, I do. She comes into this one with a 3.99 ERA, a 158 WHIP, She is 4-4 on her season. She's gone 66 and 2/3 innings, as I mentioned earlier, giving up 81 hits, 45 runs, 38 of them being earned, 23 walks, and 24 strikeouts. I'll be interested to see how she kind of comes back from that first game of the doubleheader on Wednesday. Got roughed up a little bit, a few earned runs on 7 hits. So I'll be interested to see how she responds to the situation with the leadoff runner on base in this talented UCLA lineup.
Bunt attempt here, and that's going to go foul. Kelly Gooden at the plate. Gooden with 2 infield singles today. And, yeah, Hallie Morris has been kind of interesting. We talked about her being the primary relief pitcher for this Utah team, and in a lot of cases, she's either been really good or really struggled. There hasn't been a whole lot of in between. Got a really interesting shift from the Utah defense right now. 5 infielders, 2 outfielders. So Alyssa Barrera, Jordan Gasper playing shallow in the outfield, basically straight up. There's nobody in right field. Maddie Jacobus has come in playing essentially right behind Alyssa Bonstrom at first base. Bonstrom and Morris are both about 15 feet in front of, or Bonstrom and Bellardi at first and third are both about 15 feet in front of the bag. Noskin playing even at second, and Haley Denning at shortstop playing in front of, playing basically just behind Hallie Morris in the circle. So this is interesting shift, to say the least.
Definitely very interesting, and I think one of the more interesting parts about it is you have Bonstrom and Jacobus pretty much stacked on top of one another over there down the first baseline. I know they're allowing Bonstrom to play into field a bunt, and then Jacobus is there to cover first base, but also if a ground ball's there, it's going to be interesting.
Denning, a diving play, knocks that ball down. They're able to get the lead runner at second. So it looks like the shift worked exactly as they had planned. If it had been a traditional bunt defense, there's nobody covering second base on that play, and it's a single or everybody is safe. So great defense there from Amy Hogue, instituting an unconventional shift. So Utah benefits from that. That's the first out of the inning. We go to the top of the UCLA order, and Kinsley Washington. Stolen base attempt, throw from Falk, gets out into center field once again. Barrera's there backing it up. Gooden's forced to stay at second base. So that's the second throw from Katie Falk to end up in center field today. I want to go back to that shift, Scott. I've watched a lot of baseball and softball in my life. I've never seen a defensive alignment like that, and I've never seen it work so perfectly either.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and they clearly had the tendency that it was either going to be a bunt or a slap to either third base or shortstop, trying to get the lead runner at second base while not leaving first base unoccupied. They really wanted Bonstrom to be able to come and crash in on the bunt as well. So bringing in Jacobus from right field, basically daring the hitter Gooden to hit one to right field. It was interesting.
And going back to that stolen base attempt, Gooden, even though she slid safely into second base, she's going to be ruled out, saying that she left first base early. So Utah benefiting from a mistake there from UCLA base runner Kelly Gooden. We've got 2 outs now in the top of the 6th inning.
Yeah, it's another one of those differentials between baseball and softball. You cannot leave the base until the ball crosses the plate as a base runner. So can't get a lead in that instance of things and take off like you would in a baseball game. But I think it's so interesting. I think it makes stealing a base in softball just incredibly difficult.
Well, with 60 feet between the bases as opposed to 90 in a baseball game, I think it kind of makes sense. 60 feet really isn't that far in a dead sprint when you get players like Haley Denning, Kelly Gooden, just all the speed we see in this lineup as we get a single off the bat of Kinsley Washington to right field. But, yeah, 60 feet with the kind of speed we have out here on the field, it makes sense that you wouldn't be able to leave until the pitch has left the pitcher's hand.
And that was a very loud contact off the bat of Washington, picking up her first hit of the day after a walk in the first, a sacrifice fly in the second, and grounding out to second base back in the fourth. 1 for 3.
Now Brianna Perez with a ground ball to second base. Julia Noskin, excellent focus there as Noskin fields that ground ball, if that.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember one off the bat of Hallie Morris that went foul down the third baseline?
Liner by Alyssa Barrera.
Yeah, to second base that Washington made the play on. I want to give a shout out to the UCLA faithful listening and chiming in on Twitter. Apologize and want to correct this. Delaney Wiz, been calling her wise today. I apologize. We'll get that fixed this weekend. Gasper fouls another ball out of play. Counts 2-2.
Also, shout out to the UCLA faithful in attendance here today. Big crowd and a lot of blue down this first base line. Yeah.
Not a surprise that such a prominent national program like UCLA would have such a good following. Always love to have people tuning in. Ground ball from Gasper to first. Wiz fields it, steps on the bag.
Well done. That's growth right there.
Hey, we're nothing if we can't take feedback.
We're happy to hear from them chiming in too and letting us know what we're doing wrong.
Absolutely. Feel free to tweet me directly. It's at bpriest24.
There you go.
You don't want to throw yours out there, Scott?
I'll let you take it.
I'll take the heat on this one. That's okay. Haley Denny, the Utah leadoff hitter in the box now. Chopper foul.
No, I'm just kidding. It's S_Stevens official. Off. Abbreviated.
Stevens with a PH.
With a PH. Never let a man receive tweets alone.
Leave no man on the field of battle. Ground ball from Denny into second base. Good play from Washington. Flips quickly to Wiz. 2 up, 2 down in the bottom of the 6th. Utes still trailing 5-0. Alyssa Barrera, fifth-year senior, coming to the plate now. Barrera needs 12 hits to break into the top 5 all-time hits leaders list for the Utes.
And you talk about Barrera, the fifth-year senior here for Utah, came back after the COVID year last year. She got her free year of eligibility, has her degree in communications already, but just the impact that this can have on future years for Utah with so many underclassmen, as this one misses low, just to be able to have this leading presence in the clubhouse day in and day out and just going about it the right way as Barrera has her entire career here at Utah. You might not see it this year as they're still growing and developing the younger players, but her effect here in this season is going to be felt years past when she leaves.
Well, Barrera also a member of the Mexican the Mexican national team. What am I saying? So she's been playing with that team for several seasons as well, and just being able to bring that international experience to the dugout as well as a big piece for this young Utah team.
Just imperative. I mean, just can't say enough of how much that can build confidence, grow trust in your players, and just be a role model for some of these young players.
Barrera ahead in the count, 3-1, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Strike 2. Count's now full. Barrera, one of 3 captains for this Utah team, joined by Julia Noskin and Alyssa Palacios. Barrera shoots a ball out into left field. Catch is going to be made. That'll retire the side. Gooden makes the catch. We head to the top of the 7th inning. Bruins still leading 5-0. Until a home run, a 2-run home run off the bat of Rachel Garcia in the 5th inning to give UCLA this 5-0 lead. But just the second time this year that Feldman's been able to pitch into the 6th inning in any ball game. This was a huge test for her. Only her 6th start of the season. And, you know, we've said it before, but I don't think we can say it too much. It was a really positive experience for Feldman and something that she can build on as the season continues and being just a freshman as we move on in her career.
Yeah, and she, like you mentioned earlier, she won't necessarily feel like it has been giving up 5 runs and no real run support from Utah offensively thus far, but holding this offense to just 5 runs as a freshman in your first.
Aaliyah Jordan with a smash down to first base. Bonstrom can't hang on to that one. So Jordan's going to be safe at first. That could be the fourth error of the ball game for the Utes. We'll see how this one is scored. That was a smash down the first baseline. Bonstrom just trying to protect herself on that ball.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that one's scored. I think if you give the comebacker to Feldman earlier in the last inning an error, I would say this one would be as well, as we get the 4th error of the game up on the board.
And we talked earlier in this game about the difference in defenses between these two teams. Utah came in with 54 errors on the season, 4 today. And when you've only given up 5 runs and you've had 4 errors defensively, it's tough. It's really difficult. Yeah, the offense hasn't been able to get going, but without those errors, you could easily make the case this is a 2-run ball game or less.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. And one of the errors came via a throw down to second base, getting it out into center field, and advancing the base runner to third base. She eventually would score on a triple, but yeah, you mentioned it. A couple base runners reaching base via the error, and Utah had to play a perfect game on all 3 facets of this one to hang with this UCLA team.
Garcia with a ground ball to Denning. Denning quickly to Noskin. And that'll be the second double play of the ball game. Turn 2 Utah. Denning to Noskin to Bonstrom. 6-4-3. Good job by the Utes right there.
Really incredible turn there by Noskin at second base to give a strong throw to Bonstrom at first and record the second out of that double play. And how good is it to see Haley Denning just so enthusiastic there again after a really good turn. She's been playing a lot of shortstop recently, getting more comfortable with the position, and just even though you're down 5-0, you're taking these positive moments and really running with them.
Oh, Denning's so excitable.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to talk with her a couple times. This is her 3rd year in the Utah program, and just about 6 weeks ago was the first time she was ever able to play a home game here at Dumke Family Softball Stadium, and she just exudes this joy and pleasure. You can tell she just loves to play the game.
It's really fun to see, and it's infectious, too, because it boils down throughout the rest of the lineup as the leadoff hitter, doing anything she can to get on base, beating out really weak ground balls in the infield, just momentum plays. I mean, it's just really fun to watch her play the game.
Delaney Wiz at the plate. Counts 2-1 for Wiz. Wiz grounded into a double play in her first plate appearance, walked and was hit by a pitch in the last 2 times. So she has reached base safely 2 out of 3 times today. Wiz has shown an ability to put together a good at-bat. Counts 3-1. Strike 2 from Morris. Counts now full.
Give a quick shout out. Utah baseball getting underway at Arizona tonight. 3-game series in Tempe.
Tucson.
I'm sorry. Tempe's Arizona State. They just had the flair for the dramatic against Arizona State at home last weekend, and I guess that's still in my brain.
It's all right. I forgive you. The only reason I know that is because the Utah softball played Arizona last weekend at Arizona, so I had to write about Tucson a bunch.
I mean, I was looking right at it. There's, I got no excuse.
Count remains full for Delaney Wiz.
I appreciate the support, though.
Ground ball down the third baseline, like we always say.
Takes
That's
2.
why there are 2 of us. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th inning. UCLA leading 5-0. 5 runs on 10 hits, no errors. Utah 0 runs, 1 hit, 4 errors in this ball game. Second time Wiz has run the count full today. Barely gets a piece of that ball, staying alive. Chopper down to third. Allie Bellardi goes back on it. Strong throw from third base. Retiring Wiz at first. That's a great throw from Allie Bellardi to retire the side. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Utah with 3 outs left to score 5 runs. She is 3 outs away from her 9th complete game of the season.
Yeah, we mentioned her accolades earlier on the broadcast, and she's looked every bit of it so far in this start as the first pitch breaking ball misses for ball 1.
Alyssa Bonstrom leading off for the Utes. Heart of the Utah order, Bonstrom, Jacobus, and Noskin coming up. 3 lefties. Ball popped high into shallow center field. Maya Brady coming in on it. She'll make the catch. First out here in the 7th. Maddie Jacobus coming to the plate. Jacobus has popped out twice to second base today. Jacobus has only seen 3 pitches on the afternoon. He's looking to work the at-bat a little bit more. Fouls a pitch back to the screen.
Yeah, that's a really interesting approach. Only 3 pitches on the day, a couple pop outs to second base, and going after the first pitch there as well in this at bat.
I would have expected her to at least take that first one. She looks at ball 1 outside, counts 1-1. After a short delay, we're ready. Jacobus sends that ball out into left center field. That's going to get down. Jacobus aggressively rounding first. She's going to slide into second base with a double here for the Utes. Great job from Jacobus hustling out of the box. Didn't think she was going to be able to get 2 bases on that. Maya Washington couldn't field it cleanly, in and out of the glove. And Jacobus takes advantage of it.
Yeah, and that was just hustle out of the box there by Jacobus, but also the shortstop Perez cut that ball off as well. And I think if that throw goes through on the line to second base, it might be a different play there at second base.
It would have been close.
But the throw was cut off, and just the hustle and the determination, I think, is a good word there of I'm getting to second base on this play and really pushing the envelope as a base runner is something Amy Hogue loves to see.
Definitely. Now Julia Noskin at the plate. Noskin nothing for 2 today with 2 ground outs. Strike 1.
Yeah, she's questioning whether or not she got the bat back in time off that bunt attempt. I kind of agree with home plate umpire there, Mike Bartling. I'd say it's been a well umpired game today.
I think it has too. I agree.
I think the strike zone's been fair on both sides. A lot of close plays on the base paths. I feel like they got the majority of them correct. No real complaints.
Counts 1-1 for Julia Noskin. That's really all you can ask from an umpiring crew. If we don't have to say their name, that's probably a good thing.
Exactly.
Strike 2 to Julia Noskin. Noskin continues squaring around to bunt, has pulled the bat back each time. 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Utah's got to get something going. They're down to their final 2 outs.
Very defensive swing there.
Slapper off the bat of Noskin. She's going to be ruled out on that play. Looks like she stepped out of the box before making contact with the pitch. So Noskin frustrated, you can tell, but heads back to the dugout with minimal complaint. Now Utah down to their final out, Destiny Keyless in the box.
And that is that problem with the slap approach there of taking that approach of running up the box. If you do step out of the box and you make contact with the ball, you are out.
Keyless shows bunt. Pulls it back. And that timing mechanism from Destiny Keyless, I have to remind myself, it looks like she's showing bunt, but that's just how she times her swing, just like you would a leg kick or anything else. Foul ball, now behind in the count, 0-2. That throw from Garcia gets away, back to the pitcher. All kinds of chaos out there in the middle of the infield. Umpire tried to make a play on that ball, unable to.
Now, if anyone knows how to score that stepping out of the box in the scorebook, in an official scorebook, let us know. Reach out.
That's what we need the tweets for.
Reach out.
Another foul ball from Keyless. That goes into the Utah dugout around the netting. I hope everybody's okay. Got a bad angle. I can't see into the Utah dugout. That's besides the two entrances down there, the entire dugout is covered in netting, just like the first and third baselines. That one found its way through the entrance off the wall. There's a chopper back to Ferramo. Ferramo fields it cleanly, gets Keyless at first, and that'll be the ball game. Utah falls in this 4-game series, the opener, 5-0 to the UCLA Bruins. Utes fall to 19-24.